So it's finally time for another tale from the Dungeon Master, and I'm going to talk about the Guild of Multiverse Adventures. Now, this one is a story that came about because my D&D group, they fell off because they started having families, having kids. Even my most constant companion in this, Minerva's player, the one I could springboard ideas off of, the ones I could rely on to make sessions, she had 2 kids of herself. But one thing that she did is she would tell my campaigns as bedtime stories. I mean, she'd get rid of a lot of the more questionable things that a guy in his 20s would write, but yeah. So one day she came up to me and she's just like, "Hey, how would you like to run a one-shot for my kids so that they can just be introduced to the concept of D&D?" I was like, "Okay." I was like, "Well, how do you want to do this?" She's like, I could buy the 4E stuff and then I can have you read it and see what you want to do. Now, 4E, what was new at the time, it was considered very beginner friendly. Now, I didn't personally like 4E when I first read about it. That's why we switched to Pathfinder instead of that, but I digress. So what I came up with was I took a story from Noah Antwiler about his signature character, Tandem the Spoonie. Now, if you're unfamiliar with Tandem, he was a bard, and this was back when bards were really badass, like 1st and 2nd edition bards. And he was reached 20th level and made into a god, and then his first group fell off. And what he ended up doing is he ended up joining another group with lower levels. And he just I'll take the level loss. And he was cast out of his divine planes and back to Earth. Or Earth, but yeah. So that group kind of continued to run their games. And they ended up running into Gary Gygax's Dungeon Land. Now, if you're unfamiliar, Gary Gygax modules were meat grinders. They were designed to run characters and get them killed. And Dungeon Land was Gary Gygax's take on Alice in Wonderland. Now, at the end of that story, it was most of Tandem's party had fallen to the meat grinder. And what Tandem decided was to take the Starjammer that was meant to take them back to their home dimension. And he's just like, you know what? I'm going to sail the multiverse. And that's when I took that idea. It's I made a Tandem form a guild where he could take children and young adults from our world and have them experience some low-stakes adventures. And Minerva's player decided that after the Apocalypse Squad in Pathfinder, she's like, I'm going to retire to this Guild of Multiverse Adventures. So this story begins where Minerva's real-life children were woken up one night by Tandem and says you've been chosen to go on an adventure in the D&D world, but that's not what he says. I wrote something else, I don't remember. And we brought them to his guild in the multiverse, and we had Tandem and Minerva to kind of guide these kids through an adventure. Making sure that they were safe and able to go home. at the end of it. Now, this was a very kid-friendly adventure. It was like they were just like level 5 characters and 4E. Their mom definitely helped them with the math and the dice and all that. And they were able to choose their classes, choose their fantasy race. And they did all kinds of these kid-friendly things. It's like I even remember letting the youngest, who was 6 at the time, ride a... Jeez, I don't even remember, but I know it was dangerous. But she's just like, I'm going to ride the thing. And I'm just like, okay, cool. So they came to the end of their venture. They found their treasure. They brought it back. They fought their boss. And they came home and they had this kind of a crystal that allowed them to relive their adventure. And suddenly there was a new bedtime story for them from Minerva's character. Now, if you want to use this plot hook for yourself, for your own one-shots, having Tandem the Spoonie and Minerva, the savior of Galorian, go ahead. But for now, till next time, take care. Peace.